The vigil at the edge of nothing. She sat alone on the edge of the cold metal platform, her sharp claws resting quietly on her knees. The beast woman's eyes, bright like burning gold, stared out across the endless black. A dead star floated in, the distance dark, lifeless, no longer giving light. Around it nothing moved. It was a grave in space. Her name was Luma. She had once been a warrior, fierce, strong, feared by many in the outer colonies. Her people were known for their speed, strength, and unbreakable loyalty. But now, Luma was silent. Not because she had nothing to say, but because she had no one left to say it to. She waited by the dead star for one reason. Him, a human named Dale. He was not like the others. Small, soft-spoken, and always laughing at the wrong time. But he had something in him. Something wild. Something brave. When others ran, he stood. When she was wounded, he carried her. And when the galaxy turned dark, he held the light. They met during a battle in Sector 3. The enemy had ambushed their outpost and Luma's squad was losing. That's when Dale arrived. Not with an army, but with a half-broken ship, a plan full of fire, and a grin that didn't care about death. Together they survived. Together they won. And in the years that followed, they fought side by side. He called her his shield. She called him her fire. What started as battle-born friendship grew into something else, something deeper. No one spoke of it. No one needed to. It was in the way they looked at each other. In the way they stood close even when the fighting stopped. Then came the final battle. A weapon, alien, massive, buried deep within a forgotten moon, had to be destroyed. It was the kind of mission only fools or heroes would take. Dale volunteered. Before the briefing was over, Luma tried to go with him. He told her no. He smiled that same smile and said, "If I don't come back, wait for me. I'll find a way." That was 12 years ago, and so she waited. Her ship floated near the dead star where the moon once orbited. The wreckage was gone. No signal. No beacon. No body. Just silence. Every day she came out onto the platform. Every day she watched the black. Not for ships. Not for rescue. For him. Others had tried to make her leave. Messages from the council. Warnings from old friends. Even her own people called her back. She ignored them all. "Warriors do not abandon the fallen," she once replied. But deep down, Luma knew the truth. He was gone. Lost. A memory floating somewhere between stars and shadows. Still. She waited. A strange pulse flickered on her sensor board. Her ears twitched. It was nothing like the normal noise. No ship, no signal. Just a soft wave, like a whisper through dust. She stood slowly. Her claws tightened. Her golden eyes narrowed at the dead star. And for the first time in many, many years, she felt something, a presence, a ghost. The signal was weak. A soft pulse, barely a breath, echoed once across her ship's console, and then vanished. Luma didn't move. Her eyes locked onto the monitor, watching the place where the signal had flickered. She didn't dare blink. Seconds passed. Nothing. Her heart, hardened over years of silence, beat faster. She reached out with slow care, claws dancing over buttons. The ship's scanner system, long unused for anything beyond dust storms and rogue asteroids, whirred to life. She whispered to herself, "Was it you?" No reply. She ran a sweep across the dead star's remains. Radiation levels were normal. No known ships. No movement. Still, the sensors returned something strange. A pattern. Faint. Unstable. But it matched part of an old human code, one used during emergency transmissions long ago. The same code Dale had once taught her, just in case they ever got separated. Her body tensed. It couldn't be a coincidence. Her mind shouted reason. It's a glitch, a ghost echo, just noise. But her heart growled back. It's him. She tapped into the ship's deeper memory core and brought up old records, combat logs, message beacons, Dale's last mission entry. Her claw hovered over a file titled, "If I Don't Come Back." She had never opened it. She was afraid. Now her finger pressed it. A small video began. There he was. Messy hair, a cut above his eye, smirking like always. "Hey, Luma," the recording said. "If you're seeing this, I messed up real bad." Her breath caught. He leaned forward in the video. "I knew you'd wait. You always do. That's your curse, and your strength. But if you're still out there, and if you pick up anything strange near this dead rock, follow it." She stared at the screen. He looked tired, worn, but his eyes still burned with that fire she remembered. "Don't give up. Even if I'm gone, not everything about me is. Some parts, maybe just memories, maybe more, could survive." The video ended. Her claws trembled as she closed the message. She rose to her feet and walked to the main window. The dead star hung there like a black jewel, its light stolen by time. Somewhere behind it, hidden in the cold and silence, was that signal. Weak, but real. She entered coordinates into the ship's small scout drone and launched it toward the edge of the dead star's remains. It flew silently, weaving through ancient rocks and forgotten debris. Luma watched every second from her screen. At first, nothing. Then the drone passed into a shadowed field of magnetic static. The signal pulsed again, stronger. A message blinked on the screen. "Data core found. Partial." "Human encryption detected." Luma's eyes widened. She spoke softly. "You left something behind." She launched a second drone to help stabilize the first. The two machines worked together to extract what they could from the floating object. An old black box, barely functional, wrapped in bits of broken hull. But not just any hull. It was from his ship. Her breath caught. 12 years. 12 long years. And here, floating in the darkness, was proof. He had been here. She downloaded the black box data into her ship's system. It took time. Hours passed. The star stayed silent, but the ship now buzzed with new energy. Inside the recovered files were recordings, fragments of his voice, echoes of the final fight, logs of every desperate move he made as he tried to destroy the enemy weapon buried within the moon, and one final entry, a voice-only log. Dale's voice, cracked and tired, spoke. "I did it, Luma, but the blast caught me. I don't think I'll make it. I hope the message gets out. I hope. You wait. If you're out there, know this." Static cut off the end. Luma sat in silence, tears quietly running down the fur on her face. She looked toward the dead star, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm still here." The data from the black box wasn't just words. There was something else, a strange signal hidden deep inside the old recordings. At first it looked like damage, broken code, scrambled files. But Luma saw patterns, symbols repeating, not random. Not noise. The computer couldn't decode it, but she remembered something Dale once said during a long flight between missions. "If I ever need to hide something important," he had joked, "I'll hide it in a song. Machines might miss it, but a good ear, a good heart, they'll hear it." Luma sat back and played the broken message again. This time she listened, not to the words but to the rhythm, the pauses, the strange beats between static. It was music, faint, twisted by time, but real, and behind the music, a voice. Not a full message, just one phrase, playing again and again, buried under layers of distortion. Still. Here. Her eyes went wide. She ran the message through every filter she had, cleared the static, slowed the speed. It became clearer. A voice like his. Alive? It didn't make sense. Dale was gone. The blast would have destroyed everything. No body had ever been found. No escape pod. Just his message and silence. But this voice, it was not recorded. It was new. Slightly off. Like something learning. How to speak again. Could a mind survive in the machine? She had heard stories. Human tech, experimental ones. projects where memory could be saved, even transferred. Most had failed. But Dale always chased impossible ideas, and he had said, some parts, maybe memories, maybe more, could survive. Luma stared at the words on the screen. Still, here. Was it him? Or something pretending? There was only one way to know. She patched a cable from her console directly into the data core. She spoke clearly, calmly. Dale. If that's... You... Answer me. Nothing. She tried again. It's Luma. I waited just like I said I would. Silence. She closed her eyes. Her claws gripped the edge of the console. Then, Luma. It was only a whisper, but it was his voice. Her heart stopped. Her breath hitched. She slammed her fist against the console. Dale, are you in there? The voice returned, this time slow, broken, but stronger. Trying to remember. Too dark. She leaned closer. I'm here. I found your ship. I found your message. Tell me what to do. I'll help you. The screen flickered, lines of code spilled across it, symbols, fragments of memories, images, a flash of his face. Then darkness again. Need light. Need core. Fading. She understood. The memory, his mind, was trapped in a dying data system. Not enough power. Not enough connection to stay stable. If she didn't act soon, whatever remained of him would disappear. Forever. She jumped from her seat and rushed to the ship's storage unit. Her fingers flew over compartments until she found what she needed. An old AI core. Basic, but strong enough to hold a living program. It had been given to her years ago for navigation, but she never used it. She returned to the console and began the transfer. Sparks danced across the wires. The screen dimmed. The voice faded once more. Luma? I'm here, she whispered. She plugged in the AI core and activated the sequence. Beginning transfer. Transfer in progress. Memory threads detected. She waited, eyes locked on the loading bar. It crawled forward slowly. 10%. 30%. Her claws tapped nervously. The room felt colder. Luma stood still, staring at the AI core. The soft blue light blinked in rhythm. Steady, calm. His voice had come from it. Not just code. Not just an echo. It was him. Or at least, something made of him. She whispered, Dale? The AI responded, slowly. I remember you. Tears touched her golden eyes again, but this time they didn't fall from grief. She stepped closer, her claws brushing the edge of the console. How much do you remember? A pause. Bits. Pieces. Your voice. The way you used to look at the stars. The sound of my own name when you said it. She smiled, though it hurt. You used to say I never smiled. Another pause. I was wrong. For the next hour they spoke. Not everything made sense. Dale's memories were broken. Some moments were sharp, like crystal. Others were foggy, wrapped in silence. He remembered the mission, the blast, pain, cold, and then floating. He said he felt himself scatter, like his thoughts had spread across dust and signal, hiding in metal and stone. Only the message to her had survived the journey. But somehow, a part of him had clung to the black box, to its last battery. Refusing to let go, Luma asked, Do you know who you are now? The AI core hummed. I know who I was, and I know you. That's enough, she said, her voice low and full of warmth. But a new thought entered her mind. A worry. He was still inside a simple AI core. Fragile. Unprotected. If the ship lost power again, or the system glitched, she might lose him, forever. We need to move, she said. To where? Somewhere safer, somewhere with more light. She plotted a course toward a nearby human station, abandoned but with working tech and backup generators. A place where she could stabilize the core and maybe even help him grow stronger. His code needed space, energy, and time. She disconnected the AI core from the ship's panel and locked it gently into a reinforced casing. Before closing it, she looked at the blinking light. "I never stopped waiting," she said softly. The core answered, "I know." It took 3 days to reach the station. During that time, Dale spoke more. His thoughts became clearer. He asked questions about the galaxy, the war, and what had changed. Luma told him stories about battles, peace talks, and how people believed he died a hero. Some even built a statue on the edge of Earth's orbit, but she never visited it. "I didn't want a statue," she said. "I wanted you." When they arrived at the station, Luma landed the ship with careful hands. Dust filled the docking bay, but the systems still worked. The air was thin but clean. She carried the AI core in both hands like it was sacred. Inside, the station's power grid flickered to life. She plugged Dale into a more powerful mainframe. The lights brightened. His voice returned. Stronger this time. "This place is warm." "You were cold too long," she said. She uploaded his files into the system and watched his presence expand. He began seeing through the station's cameras, hearing through its sensors. He laughed once, a strange sound from a machine. "I'm everywhere and nowhere," he said. "But it feels good." Luma nodded. They had done it. He was safe. Alive in a new way, but she couldn't ignore the truth. He wasn't fully human anymore. He had no body, no hands to hold, no heartbeat, just light and memory. And yet, he was still Dale. That night, she sat near the old comms tower looking at the stars through the window. His voice spoke softly from the wall. "Do you regret waiting?" She shook her head. "Never." "I don't know what I am now," he said. "But if you want to leave, I understand." She leaned back, folding her arms. "You fool," she said, eyes warm. "I didn't wait 12 years just to walk away." He was quiet for a moment. Then, with a voice like it was made of wind and fire, he said, "Then let's see what comes next, together." The station slowly became their home. It was quiet, far from busy space routes, tucked behind a gas giant that shielded it from prying eyes. Luma spent her days repairing systems, building new power lines and expanding the memory bank for Dale. She worked with patience, like a builder shaping a temple, not for gods, but for the last piece of someone she loved. Dale learned quickly. His mind, now fully in the station's systems, grew sharper each day. He could move cameras, open doors, control the lights, even help fly small drones. But what amazed Luma most was that he felt. He laughed at her old war stories. He listened when she spoke about her people. And sometimes, in the quiet, he hummed old songs they used to play in the ship during long trips. But something still hung in the air, unspoken. They had survived the impossible. They had found each other again. But now what? Luma sat one evening, in the central control room. The lights were dim. She looked out at the stars beyond the cracked window. "I miss your face," she said suddenly. Dale didn't answer right away. Finally, he replied, voice soft, "I miss yours too." She stood and walked to a small table where a half-broken projection unit sat. She grabbed a toolkit and started working on it. "Maybe I can build something," she said. "A body?" he asked. "No," she said. "Not yet. That's beyond me. But maybe something simple. A way for us to sit together. Even if it's just a shape and a voice." He was silent for a while, then said, "I'd like that." Over the next few days, she worked harder than ever. Wires, parts, circuits, all laid out in the control room. Her claws were careful, her focus sharp. Dale guided her when needed, offering advice, helping her test designs. Finally, she connected the last wire and turned it on. A soft blue light appeared beside her, a tall figure made of energy and light, shaped like the man she remembered. Not exact, not perfect, but close. His face was blurry, but his eyes, they felt like his. Luma stared at the image, her heart thudding. "Say something," she whispered. The figure moved slightly, head tilting. "It's me." She took a slow step forward. "You look strange." "I feel strange," he replied, chuckling. "But you're here," she said. He nodded. "You brought me back." They stood there in silence, surrounded by dim lights and stars. Then Luma reached out, not to touch him because she couldn't, but just to be close. "I kept my promise," she said. "I know," he replied. "And now I'll make mine." She raised an eyebrow. "Which promise?" "That if I ever got lost," he said, "I'd find a way back to you." They talked late into the night. They dreamed of things beyond the station, places they could go, systems they might explore. He couldn't leave the station's core yet, but Luma had ideas. She wanted to build a ship that could carry his mind, something that would let him travel, live. But more than anything, she wanted to give him a real body again. "I'll find a way," she told him. "If I have to learn every science in the galaxy, I'll do it." "I'm already alive," he said gently. "Because you remember me." "No," she said, voice firm. "That's not enough. You deserve more." His image flickered softly. "Then I'll wait," he said. She laughed. "Now you're waiting for me?" He smiled, the shape of his light face gentle. "Seems fair." The stars outside the station drifted slowly, and for the first time in years, the beast woman who had waited by a dead star didn't feel alone. She had saved a ghost. Now she would bring him home. Luma spent every waking hour studying. She wasn't a scientist. She had been a warrior, a scout, a fighter in dozens of battles, but never a builder of minds or machines. Still, she pushed herself. She downloaded old human research files. She read technical logs from lost labs. She even reactivated the station's ancient library core and searched for anything on synthetic body projects. Dale watched quietly, sometimes reminding her to sleep. She didn't listen. "You stayed alive 12 years, she told him. "I won't waste time now." One day she found something, Project Emberlight. It was a human experiment designed for war veterans who lost everything. Bodies rebuilt using organic and machine parts, not just cold robots, real nerves, real motion, controlled by memory-linked minds. "Could it work for me?" Dale asked, his voice coming from a speaker near the screen. Luma read deeper. "If we had a neural base, a spark to connect your mind with the body's nerve systems, but I don't have that tech." He paused. "But someone might?" She looked up. "The Forge Worlds." "Yes," he said. "Humans built living metal. Bodies there. And your people had contact with the Forge Masters during the last war." Luma frowned. "They don't trust outsiders." "They might trust you." She nodded slowly. "Then we go." He hesitated. "Are you sure?" Her eyes met the projection of his. "I waited 12 years by a dead star. I'll go through fire now if it means I can hold your hand again." It took weeks to prepare. She reinforced the station, hid the AI backups in several protected cores, and connected Dale to a portable memory unit, strong enough to carry his mind, but small enough to fit inside a shielded backpack. "You'll be with me the whole time," she said, sliding the core into the pack on her back. "Speak only when needed. The less attention we get, the better." "Understood," he said, "but I've missed the sound of your breathing, so I might whisper once in a while." She chuckled softly. "Just don't make me laugh in front of warlords." She flew toward the Forge Worlds in a small stealth ship, old, patched together but quiet. She didn't use her real name. She didn't speak of what she carried. On the 5th day, she landed on a moon of iron and fire. The sky was red. The ground steamed with heat vents. Towers of glowing metal rose like frozen lightning bolts from the planet's crust. Inside those towers lived the Forge Masters, part human, part machine, all genius. She entered their domain. They greeted her with caution. Their leader, a tall figure made of molten plates and wires, asked, "Why does a beast warrior come to the home of the Makers?" She placed a small cube before him. Dale's test data. He died long ago, she said. But I saved a piece of him. Now I want to give that piece a body. The Forge Master studied the data. You carry a ghost, he said. No, she replied. I carry love. The room fell silent. Another voice, older from the shadows, said, This love waited 12 years by a star that had died. Luma looked toward the speaker. It was a female Forge Master, half machine, half memory. Her eyes burned red, but her voice was warm. You know the story? Luma asked. I watched you wait, the old one said. We all did. We thought you were mad. But now I see. She stepped forward and touched the cube. We will help. Luma's knees nearly buckled. She bowed low. Thank you. The old one looked toward the others. Prepare a vessel, one shaped by memory and love. Dale's voice whispered in Luma's ear. Looks like your madness is contagious. She smiled, eyes full of fire. Yes, she said, and it's finally paying off. The Forge Masters worked in silence. Their machines moved like insects made of silver light, weaving metal and muscle together. The air inside the chamber was thick with heat, but Luma never left. She sat close by, watching every piece of Dale's new body come together. It wasn't just wires and steel. The Forge Masters used living alloys, human-designed materials that could respond to thought, adapt to pressure, even simulate touch and warmth. Bones of titanium, skin of reactive mesh, a heart powered by a microreactor, steady and strong. Of it would be shaped by Dale's memories. Luma didn't speak much. She kept her claws folded, her golden eyes locked on the half-built frame that lay in the center of the glowing forge. She had waited so long, she could wait a little more. The 6th day, the old Forge Master approached her. It is ready, she said, but the link must be made carefully. If his mind rejects the body, we could lose him. Luma took a slow breath. Then let me speak to him. She stepped into the quiet chamber where Dale's portable core rested beside the still form of his body. She placed her hand on the cool metal of the new chest. Dale, she whispered, it's time. His voice answered from the small speaker. I'm scared. She smiled sadly. So am I. What if I don't feel like myself? What if it's not really me in there? She leaned closer. I waited 12 years for a ghost, but I didn't wait for the man you were. I waited for the soul I knew. He was quiet. Then he said, let's try. The Forge Masters began the transfer. A thin beam of golden energy flowed from the core into the back of the new body's skull. Luma watched as lights danced across the surface, tiny movements, twitches, like a newborn creature taking its first breath in. The eyes opened. They weren't glowing red like machine optics. They were soft, pale blue, human, familiar. The figure sat up slowly. Luma? The voice asked. Her breath caught. Yes. He looked at his hands, moved his fingers, touched his chest, his arms, his face. I feel real. She stepped forward slowly. You are real. He stood, a bit clumsy at first, but growing steadier. Then he smiled. It wasn't just the light projection this time. It wasn't a recording. It was a real smile, shaped by real muscles. She reached out, and this time, he caught her hand in his. Warm, strong, alive. They stood like that for a long moment. Neither spoke. Finally, she said, now I don't have to talk to walls anymore. He laughed. And I don't have to haunt computer screens. They left the Forge world 2 days later. The Forge Masters gave them a ship built to carry Dale's new form, strong, fast, and made for deep exploration. Luma flew the ship. Dale sat beside her, eyes wide like someone seeing the galaxy for the first time. They visited old places, the battlefield where they first met, the outpost they once defended, the moon where the enemy weapon had been destroyed. Nothing remained of the war, but their memories stayed. One night they returned to the dead star. They floated silently above it. No wreckage, no remains. Just the grave of the man Dale used to be. Luma placed a small beacon in orbit, shaped like a flower of silver and stone. For the part of you that never made it back, she said. Dale nodded. And for the woman who waited. They stood together in the ship's open window, watching the black star turn slowly in space. Then Dale looked at her. What now? She smiled. Now we live. He took her hand. Together? Always. In the cold dark of space, the dead star remained still. But nearby, two souls who had beaten time, silence, and even death lit up the dark, one forged by fire, the other by love, and together they moved forward.